Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about why Quant is a 5-digit plus token. And yes, I have made videos in the past about this, but today we're actually going to be talking about the gist behind the new financial system that is essentially being built before our eyes. So let's just dive in and let's talk about a few things. So as the market is pumping, again, try not to FOMO into any positions. I do know how hard it is to jump into like QNT right now under $100. I think anything under $100 is an easy buy. Right now from $100 to the all-time high, it's like about like a 4.3x or so. I forgot what the all-time high is. So on here, it's not showing like $400 exact or anything, but I know that it was like slightly over $400. I think on at least Coinbase, yeah. So like $430. So it's almost like a 4.3 x from here, which isn't like too worth it. Again, if we're talking about like over like $1,000 plus, then the all-time high gets a little bit more pushed into like the 10x zone. So that's where we're basically watching for right now around quants. But again, we just have to accumulate when it comes down low, whenever it does happen. But to me, like, this is not a tradable asset. We are still seeing massive numbers being printed on for like the holders tab. Again, like, this is an asset that I'm buying for the long term. Like, I think that a lot of people are always trying to kick themselves about like, buying Bitcoin, early. I wish I could go back and buy Bitcoin at $100, $10, whatever. Like, now we have an asset that is very similar to it, not only from like supply, but like the demand that Quant will have going forward is going to be such a massive opportunity for anybody who's getting in under $100. And let's talk about this. So first off, I don't need to tell you guys about the financial system basically breaking right now. It's collapsing essentially in a slow sort of move. We do see here the International Monetary Fund is warning that governments worldwide risk undoing central banks' inflation fight. Finger pointing is starting. And yes, we're seeing a lot of blame being pinpointed from not only the Fed, but also like the IMF. And usually when this happens, things are most likely going to get a lot worse. I've seen it back in, like even going back to like 2008, for an example, we did see like a lot of, finger pointing, a lot of blame. It was this, it was that. For the most part, like Russia got the, blunt of everything currently, because again, like, they needed somebody to blame, so they blamed Russia, and now like we're seeing major blame around like, central banks. And this is telling me, some warning signs. Like we're seeing red flags. And also, we did see here dollar bonds of Chinese developers looking ugly. Now, home buyers across 22 cities in China are refusing to pay mortgages, which could cause $83 billion of bad debt. Watch this closely. And, a lot of people are saying like it's a drop in the bucket, but it will react massively within the entire sector of, not only like real estate, but also finance. And we do see down here, not when they continue to not pay their mortgages. That's just the first month. But what if they continue? This snowball effect is going to get a lot bigger. Housing market crash on a global scale is just getting started. And yes, I do completely agree. I think that we will see a housing market crash eventually. It's going to take a little bit of time. Again, remember, like these things do not happen quick. They happen over the period of like a 2 to 3 year span. And I do believe that it started really in like 2020. That's when we've seen like things kind of getting weak. And so that's like why we're talking about like the 2023 to 2024 timeframe on a lot of like the housing market crashes, the financial market crashes, and things like that. And then, of course, last but not least, stock market is off to its worst start since the 1970s. U.S. yield curve, most inverted in 15 years. Projections of GDP being negative for 2 consecutive quarters. Households buried in debt. And we do see, Janet Yellen sees, U.S. economy as very strong. Now, again, when we really kind of look at things happening around like the economy, we are looking at the end of this month more importantly for like the GDP report, because again, if that is negative for 2 consecutive quarters, that is confirmed that we're in a recession. Again, we have seen the Fed and we have seen a lot of central bankers say a recession is not here, recession is not here. No, there's no recession. Recession fears are nothing. If we get that GDP report, which it's looking, pretty possible for a negative 2 consecutive quarter report, we will see a recession being confirmed. And we will not hear about it on media until around December into January. Just know that. But if we do see 2 negative, quarters, prepare yourselves for the inevitable, which is a recession. Now, why are we talking about this? Why are we discussing this in a quant video? Well, it's pretty simple, right? we are going to be seeing CBDCs coming up. And we really kind of look at the ISO 222 standard as like some sort of innovation to the space. Remember that Quant has been ISO 222 since like 2013. We do see it started back in 2013 to make blockchains compatible with ISO 222 to interoperate with existing financial systems, which led to establishing ISO TC 307 in 2015. And of course, here you guys have this standard. You also do see like all the connections to existing, blockchains and also to existing systems. Now, when we really kind of look at this, so first off, obviously, yes, it is compliant with ISO 222, but when we look at what Quant is focused on, they're focused on preventing a 2008 financial crisis. The issue is that we're a little bit too late to the party on this, but I still believe that CBDCs could actually help this entire financial system bounce back. We actually do see here Gilbert Verdian believes so, as he explained to Gillian Tett and fellow panelists. Basically talking about how to prevent a 2008 financial crisis. And these are individuals from like Visa and also like Financial Times. But listen closely to this, and also, by the way, from Bank of Canada as well.
I think CBDCs have their place, and it really comes back to the resilience and the risk in the system. So if you have a central bank on the wholesale end, which issues a wholesale CBDC, and then that authorization of the wholesale CBDC allows commercial banks to issue commercial and regulated stablecoins, they are interlinked. So the risk to the system is visible at all times back to the central bank. And this is something that we didn't have during the financial crisis. And if we had CBDC type technology in the financial crisis, we could have had visibility of systemic risk, very early on before it became, as a crisis and what happened.
And that's exactly what we're really kind of getting to in terms of like preventing liquidity crises and things like that. Like, it could help a lot of the problems that we have right now be alleviated around the financial system. This is also why I've always said, like, when you look at a lot of CBDCs, like, I don't support retail CBDCs. I just don't think that we need that. Like, remember, right, these financial crises are not, they're basically not caused by the consumer. They're not caused by retail individuals. So a retail CBDC will essentially do nothing for the financial system. What will actually help the financial system is a wholesale CBDC. That way we kind of deinflate, basically the entire banking and financial system. Or I should say, like deflate, sorry. But still, I mean, it's honestly exactly what we have been trying to, get the point across for the longest time utilizing DLTs is like the issuance service for CBDCs, while again still needing that interoperability layer, which would be Quant at the end of the day. But this could revolutionize the entire payment infrastructure that we utilize on a day-to-day basis. And of course, Quant is also ahead of the curve with this, as they have said, with this technology, we could become more operationally, efficient and creative with how we transact with money. In short, we will be able to do things that we've never been able to do before. And yes, this is extremely revolutionizing technology. I think that with what Quant has built and what they have basically been focused on, I think that it is extremely important to pay attention to like interoperability, itself, because it's something so diverse compared to what we are seeing in this market. Like, I know that a lot of people bring up Chainlink, a lot of people bring up, like Atom and things like that, but like these are not legacy to digital system, interoperability like solutions. So these are like mainly blockchain or like the Internet of Things, etc. Like, they're nothing like what Quant has built. And remember, like, this is patent technology as well. Like, this is why I've always talked about like XRP technology as well, because like the XRP technology being patent as well as like being extremely disruptive to its corresponding industry is very groundbreaking for the upside potential ROI once we do see it fully adopted in. Now, also, we do see another, quote from Quant. Finance is traditionally very binary, one-to-one, but the digitization of assets and money, such as with, regulated stablecoins or CBDCs, will let us automate complex checks and balances on the buyer end and receiver end. And the funny thing about Quant is that like a lot of people kind of just ignore it, but they have been working with a lot of banks. They've been in discussions with a lot of banks. I mean, going back to this, discussion here, Like these are individuals from the Bank of Canada. These are the people from like Visa. And, these are just like two names out of so many that Quant has been in discussions with. And these are people that are not ignoring the facts. Like they understand exactly what CBDCs would do. They understand what stablecoins could possibly do. Like they understand that digitization needs to happen. Like we are living in 2022. We're still utilizing payment rails from like the 1960s and even before the 1960s, but the last time that we actually had innovative technology adopted in was with like the debit and credit card, which happened in 1966. So when we really kind of look at this market on a zoomed out basis, like we are overdue and ripe for disruption from like a technological standpoint. That's why I've always said like quant and like DLTs in general and like crypto is so extremely early. Now, I want to say this. When we really kind of look at market cap, the reason why I do believe that quant is a 5-digit coin is not because I hold it, not because I'm biased, not because of the supply. I think that a lot of people think that think that it's going to be a 5-digit coin just because of the supply. No. I think that's going to be a 5-digit coin because of the technology stack behind it, what it's doing, the demand for the token itself as well. We do see our Bitcoin was $400 with a market cap of $6 billion in 2016. In 2021, 5 years later, it peaked at $69,000 with a market cap of over $1 trillion purely off of hype and speculation. Imagine regulations, CBDCs, gateways, staking, all other forms of utility on Quant Network going live over the next 5 years. 10K is a promise. Now, again, you guys know me, I don't like to promise things at all. And I'm not going to sit here and promise you that Quant's going to go to 10K because we technically don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I will say this. If there was a high percentage of a token going to, be the next Bitcoin, going to 10K plus, it would be Quant, in my opinion. And it's funny, right? Because like we have other tokens in this market. Like for an example, Yearn. Yearn Finance was one that I know that a lot of people were extremely bullish on, simply because like the supply of it. Like this has a total supply of 36,600, for an example, and like this is 100% out there, fully supplied out there. And the all-time chart on this, like if we go to like the all-time chart, this thing hit like over $80,000. It hit $82,000 back in May of 2021. And yes, this is a newer token. Like it came out in 2020 at around like roughly $1,200 a token, and it did dip down like during the 2020 timeframe of like 8,500. And yes, we're basically at these lows yet again. Do I think that this thing's gonna go back to like 80K? Who knows? We really don't know exactly where this thing will go. But I will say this. Like if Yearn Finance can do it, if Bitcoin can do it, like surely something that is disrupting the entire payment infrastructure at the core can easily do it as well. Do I think that's going to go to 10K in the next 5 years? Yeah, I actually think that it could. I think that 5 years is actually a very conservative time frame, especially when you look at the adoption cycle of crypto and how fast crypto has grown since just 2016 alone. And also, we do see down here, like by 2030, I expect Quant to hit Bitcoin prices. May underestimate the snowball effect of what's coming. The consolidation of funds from regulations alone will drive price through the roof as sophisticated investors pile in. $1 trillion asset management firms, 401ks, etc. It's coming. All that being said, 50 to 100K, per QNT is very realistic within 8 years, 2030. Yes, 100%. If you understand the fundamentals and tokenomics, that places us around a $1 trillion market cap, assuming that QNT takes 10% of the market share at a $10 trillion plus overall market cap. We can get there with ease. And, do I think that it could easily get to like, $1 trillion in market cap? Sure, I do think it could. I think that $1 trillion is like just the start for a lot of these tokens. Remember, like Microsoft, Google, Apple, like these are, assets that have over a $1 trillion, market cap. And I know that a lot of people say like, you can't, compare traditional stocks to crypto. Like, yeah, I know. Like, why really, like at the end of the day, like they are just a base point to utilize. Like to me, and I know that a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, to me, crypto will be, far greater and far larger than traditional stocks. You got to remember that these are centralized companies that are just building consumer products and like operating systems. Quant is the operating system of tomorrow. It's connecting everything that we know about on a day-to-day basis to crypto. What do you see down here? Like look how much growth we have to go. Like, see the chart below. If crypto in its entirety matures to even be the market cap of stocks alone, which we know it will be way, because like, its use cases is so far beyond the principles of dividends. We're talking about a once in a generation opportunity. Yes, I do think that this is a once in a generation opportunity. And also, like, I also think that when we look at this market on a zoomed out base point and just like kind of compared to like bonds, real estate is like over a $300 trillion market cap. So this is like kind of wrong here. But like you do see crypto compared to like gold, stocks, like just getting to stocks alone, like the global stock market, they were actually projecting this at like over $100 trillion. Like that would be enough. Like we don't need to be extremely greedy. We don't need to be to the point where like, all right, well, we need every single dollar that we could possibly, like, listen, Quant at 10K is perfectly enough to me. Quant at 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K plus, like, it's totally fine with me. But I'm going to be holding a stack forever. I'm not going to be selling QNT. I'm not going to empty my bags fully. And honestly, I'm not selling a single QNT until 10K plus. I don't need the money from QNT immediately. And, if you don't need it as well, I would say lock it away. Lock it away, walk away. Just come back to it at some point in time, and I'm telling you, you will be celebrating. So, with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to the notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.